If you have an online service-based business, you cannot get away from the fact that your people are your business. If you don't have buyers, you don't have a business, you have a fan club. You are not running a business if you don't have buyers. If you run a service-based business, there's not a product that they can take away. They are buying into you, your brand, and your business. So the biggest priority for any service-based business is to always be building, nurturing, and converting your community. If that is not happening, everything else is going to stop working. The machine and the cogs will stop turning. You need people commenting and engaging. You need people sharing your content. You need people inquiring. You need people to say yes. You need people to say no. You need people to refer you. You need people to say not right now. You need people to say, can I renew? You need people, full stop, you need people. So that's a really easy one for me. If you really want to be strengthening your business, you need to be strengthening your communities.
I love that. I think there's so much power in community, and you could be bringing out the best product or have the best strategy. And if you have an empty nest, as I call it, or you might have 1,000 or 2,000 followers, but you don't know who they are. You have a community that is really not a community. It's a collection of people that have no interest really in your business. And then you don't really have foundations to grow on that effectively, do you?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So with regards to, we've kind of looked at community and visibility. Would there be any other foundations that you would say to a woman or a listener that they need to be really looking at in 2026 to apply to their business, or get them thinking about, okay, I need to really look at this for my business to grow?
Something that's really important is you understand there's a difference between what someone would like and what someone will pay for.
Okay.
So if you are really wanting to develop your business, you need to develop your business acumen at the same time. You need to really be doing your due diligence and your market research, competitor analysis around, if you're at a point where you're thinking about what to launch next or what would be the perfect service, find other people or brands that do similar things to you and start learning from their audience. So even if you don't comment and engage, just read through the comments on that person's posts, read through the comments of what people are buying, look at what's getting a lot of engagement, look at what's drawing people in, because that's your collective buyer space. So it is really important. And then the second thing I would say to that is also become really mindful of how often you are connecting and asking your community where they're at and what they're struggling with and what they need. And this doesn't have to be a really in-depth audit. It can simply be a poll where you say, hey, just let me know where you are right now. And that's all you do. You don't do anything else. It doesn't always have to have a complex spider web around it. But when you work out what your people are willing to pay for, and when you work out what gets your people talking to you, you can align that with what you want to be selling and how you want your business to work, because you know it's based on the principle of buying, not the principles of being liked.
Say there's a lot of noise out there and you've got to just try and listen to your own noise. Everyone is different. That's a fantastic thing. That's what makes the world so brilliant. So trust your gut instinct, but to find your gut instinct, because I've said that a lot, and people are like, oh, still don't quite get it. I'm like, I have a really great now gut instinct because I've spent years doing these creative things, which, as I say, have now led me to a place where I feel so lucky that I can walk into a space and go, oh, it needs to be this, that needs to be there, we need this, something over there. And it's like, it's immediate. I quickly jot it down in a very scrappy notebook, and then I go away and come back, and it's wonderment. So I think however you want to do it, whatever sits right with you, it might be that you are fantastic on AutoCAD or SketchUp, or it might be that you're great with a pen and a notebook, and that's either one of those is absolutely fine. But just fully lean into you and own exactly who you are, because it takes all kinds of people in the world anyway. So why not showcase what you've got? If you've got a unique history, we've each got our own unique loves and historical things that make us who we are. lean into that, because that's, so long as you just keep showcasing, you just keep showing up, the only people that fail are the people that stop, in my opinion. So just keep moving.
Yeah, I love that. And we had someone else on the podcast earlier on, and he was saying, be really real and authentic with your brand and your business. And as long as you're real and authentic with the brand and the business, your internal light shines through. And I think that's so much with interior design as well, which you've just said, because we will all have our own gorgeous, unique flares of how we want to put textures together and colors and all beautiful things, and that is so lovely. I love that. So with regards to colors and textures, is there like go-to places that you love to go where like you just love to shop and find little things?
Oh, I am in an antique centre or a charity shop pretty much every day, and I'm not exaggerating. And that's always been my life. It's like my happy place. If I know with where you have design days and you are sat in front of a screen, and it's like it's not naturally me really to like sit in front of a screen all day. It flattens you, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
I want to go and be inspired by something. And I would often find, actually jumping back to the interior design master's stuff, I could have an idea of what I wanted to do, but it never really came to life, or I shaped it or completely changed it in some cases 2 days before by seeing something else and going, oh no, that's it. Because you feel it in a different way. So for me, going to antique centres and seeing old things and patinaed things and bashed up things are the perfect place to go to start. If you can, go to the big fairs and you spend a day of it, then it's just glorious, isn't it? But I think you find gems, and it's gems that then you end up designing the whole thing around. So any antique fair, but honestly, just your normal high street charity shops as well for fabrics. And I've turned shirts and reupholstered with them and done chair covers, and you can be inspired by anything anywhere. You don't need to go to these massive antique fairs if that's not accessible to you. You can literally pop into your local, whatever it may be, Emmaus, Hospice in the Weald, Oxfam, like they're all great and do so much good as well. So I'm a huge advocate. And then I always say, beyond that, and I will say that's 9 times out of 10, that's absolutely where I start.
I think there is so much noise out there, and especially this time of year we get these walls of noises happen, especially around the festive period, and in general it can knock a lot of women off their path if they are suffering with that lack of confidence or lack of clarity, or maybe even on their journey, and they kind of can easily get distracted. And I think that's a lovely point. It's anchoring into your purpose, anchoring into your your worth, your why, and really staying pace and momentum in that lane, which is really, really important.
Absolutely, staying in your lane. And I think as well, at the end of the day, people are building, businesses, for example, because I obviously now support women who are building those businesses. But, people build their businesses for a reason, they have a why, absolutely, but they have a purpose, they have a mission, they have a vision. And I always say to people, you've got to stick by that, because regardless of what everyone else is doing, it's so noisy, like you said, but it's a case of really staying in your lane, staying focused and being true to who you are. And that is when the success happens. And I think a lot of people are led down this route of, well, I just need to do what so-and-so's doing because she's making millions and she's living the life. And I'm like, no. She's done that because she's followed her purpose, her reason, her pathway. But you as an individual, so you can create whatever you want to create, but you've got to be truthful to yourself, and you've got to stay in your lane and stay focused to your mission, your vision, your value.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. And pre getting on the recording and with the team, you gave such a beautiful piece of value that we're going to talk about for the lovely listeners and women to take into 2026. And this was be rooted in who you are and believe that you can. Talk to me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it stems from, what we've just been mentioning in terms of, who you are authentically, your identity. But it also really links to that self-belief. I think one of the biggest things that stops people from achieving any goal, any dream is, as we know, that mindset and that self-belief. And I think if people are consistently reminding themselves that they can do it, honestly, it is the most incredible thing, because it will support people and help people. But the problem that we have is that that is very hard to keep consistently. That's very hard for you, anyone, for anyone, any of us as an individual, to say, I can do this, even though I've had a really rubbish week, or that didn't go to plan, but I can absolutely do this. But we have to keep reminding ourselves. So a lot, again, the work that I do and the value that I've shared there, it really is true. But I would always say, as advice to any listeners, just remind yourself every single morning, remind yourself that you can do this, because you can. If I can do it, so can anyone else. If Lisa Marie can do it, so can anyone else. If Stephen Bartlett can do it, so can anyone else. But it is got to come down to that mindset first, that self-belief. Once we've got that in place, then we can lean into the identity of who we are, following that pathway, and then obviously the strategies and everything else on top of it follows on.
Yeah, and I love the way, you also put here, the moment you stop chasing validation and start leading from vision, everything shifts. That is so powerful, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think, again, in the online space, it's almost as if, we always say it's the kind of the picture perfect, platform. And people do look for validation. They're looking for validation from other people to say, Kaylee, that was a fantastic idea. Oh, I love this. And they're looking for the engagement and the likes and the comments and all of these things. As much as engagement is great, but we should never be seeking validation or engagement or anything of anyone else. At the end of the day, again, I always truly believe, if you are that passionate about your vision, your values, your mission, and your why, you will be able to do it. And it really is a case of staying really, really close and truthful to that vision.
A supermarket called me up and they went, we're really sorry, but our systems have crashed. All your Christmas orders been cancelled, all your food. And I literally was like, what do you mean? I've literally got 15 people Christmas Eve, 15 people Christmas Day. I've got 50 people coming over on the 27th. You can't do this to me. What am I going to do? And they went, we're really sorry. We're going to try and get you a slot in time, but we just don't know. And that for me was like the biggest disaster, because I thought, what the hell am I going to do? We went off to a supermarket. We filled up trolleys. I didn't even know what I was buying, because I'd prepared everything in my head. All my shopping list was all done. And, I got through it. I did get through it. But what it taught me was this: do not overload yourself at Christmas. We all like to be the hostesses. We're all successful business women. We love our homes. We want to show people what a beautiful table that we can present on Christmas Day. And you know what? With the best made plans, things just go wrong, right? Yeah. So one, I didn't beat myself up. Two, I've never organised a Christmas like that ever again. And three, I've made sure that I've looked after my health in the run up to Christmas, and I don't go too mad with Christmas parties or overloading myself with work. I make sure I step back at least a few days before Christmas. Yeah. So that's my Christmas message to anyone that's listening. And you may well have lots of functions going on. And if something goes wrong, you know what? Laugh, live in the moment. It's a story to tell people, and reach out and ask for help, because that's what I had to do. I just told everyone that they had to bring some Christmas party food that they had left over, because I couldn't get all the Christmas stuff that I wanted. Yeah. And it was probably, it was fun, but I've learnt my lesson.
Yeah, I think it's so important, especially if women are listening to this and thinking, right, I've got 2 or 3 days to go. I've already finished work and I haven't quite got everything planned. So I'm going to spend the next couple of days rushing around. And especially maybe if women do have younger families or families with lots of children in the house as well, it's not about all of that. They won't remember all the presents. It's the connection of actually being together as a family, and maybe just even getting a takeaway on the run up to Christmas, and having a board game and getting around the coffee table and playing Monopoly and having some laughter, rather than, I've got to get the kids to bed and I've got to, do this and wrap presents and cook this and bake this pie and sort this out. And it's just about taking stock and slowing down. And I'm like you, I've learned my lessons over the years. I remember the very first house myself and my husband bought together in 2010, and I thought it would be a wonderful idea to host for 26. Bearing in mind, We came from a one-bedroom flat. We'd never hosted Christmas before in our life. I'd never cooked a turkey. Obviously, I was a really good cook with other stuff, but Christmas dinner, no. It was always facilitated at other people's houses. So we had this beautiful new house, beautiful, huge dining room. And I thought everyone would sit down and eat at like 2, 3 p.m. in the day. I didn't understand that turkeys took the amount of time that they needed to cook. We didn't actually eat till 8, 9 o'clock, and I burnt both the turkeys. I had a nervous breakdown where at the time I was smoking, and I had to go behind the shed for a cigarette because I was just absolutely like peeved off. And my mum came out and goes, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I can't cope with the kitchen. It's just too much." She was like, "Well, you're hosting. You've got to get back in the kitchen and sort it all out." And you know what? From that, it actually gave me so much anxiety on the run up to Christmas Day, but actually Christmas Day itself, normally about 2, 3 p.m, I started to peak with anxiety. So a couple of years ago, we changed our Christmas tradition, and we actually do a little bit more on Christmas Eve now. So we do an activity with the kids, we have a nice lunch.
I believe you uncover talents that you didn't even know you had.
Yeah.
And you meet new people and you'll open new doors, because one step is going to lead to another step and another. And you really, really do believe that anything is possible.
I love that. And I think all of those words are so true and will resonate with so many women, because when you do the 1% stretch, as I call it, so each week I ask a woman, what's the 1% stretch you're going to do this week? Is it that email you're going to send? Is it that phone call you're going to make? Is it that networking event you're going to book? Is that event you want to go to on your own? Is it maybe releasing a new service or something? What is that 1% stretch? And after they do it, they say, "Oh my gosh, it didn't feel so bad. Why was I holding it off? And I feel so accomplished, I've done it, and it's out there now, and I feel like I could do anything, or I'm going to go and do this. And it is that then ripple effect that comes off the back of those small 1% stretches.
Yes.
Every single week or every single month that you do, that your confidence grows, and then you get yourself to the end of the year. And obviously, we're coming so close to the end of the year now, being on the 23rd of December. And I think you would say the same. We invite women to actually look at where they were in January 2025 to where they are now.
Very much.
Where have they stretched out of their comfort zone? What they've accomplished, and what would they like to step into in 2026, and what is going to be their 1% stretch?
I love that. Yeah, I think that's a brilliant goal for people to have, because you can do it incrementally. You can build up, and that compound effect is not to be underestimated. It really, really isn't. I've got the tingles where you've just said that, because I'm just thinking about how people are going to be feeling as they've just heard you say that. They're going to have the bit between their teeth. They're going to see how far they've come this year, and they can go even further next year.
And I think a really lovely exercise that I love women to do when they're stepping out of their comfort zone. So as we're coming towards the end of the year, and I certainly know obviously with the event that we're doing in January to Dream Big, I get women to write a legacy letter. So anyone listening, write a legacy letter of maybe you in December 2026, a year on from now, of all the things that you've achieved and accomplished that might feel a little bit scary, or that would cause anxiety, or to sweat, or to feel nervous, but you've done them and you've accomplished them, and write them from a place of celebration, and let that out to the universe as your sign to say, I'm doing that next year. That is my 1% stretch. And take that letter out in December 2026 and read it again.
Yeah.
And I love it when women do this exercise, because they come back and they're like, oh my God, I've done this and I've done this and I've done this. And I'm like, could you imagine you were there 12 months ago and now you've done all of this? How do you feel? Yeah. And they've gone through all of those beautiful words that you've said. I feel excited. I feel elated. Yeah. I feel this, I feel that. And it's just beautiful, isn't it? When we see women do these things.
It really is. And I'm a firm believer that if we allow ourselves to, stop being in the office, planning, getting everything just so. We're building that momentum. And I don't doubt that people will open that legacy letter and not only have done everything in it, they'll have done more because they have exercised that muscle. And so, I'm excited already.
So Lola is a lead magnet AI coach. So she's a free tool that people can download. She's a custom GPT. So she just uploads into a chat GPT account. You can have a free one or a paid one. It doesn't matter. She'll work with both. And a bit like I said at the start, she interviews you. So she's going to find out all about, well, who are your dream clients? Like, what keeps them up at night? What are they looking for? Do they know what they're looking for? Like, tell me about their life. So she's going to interview you and you're going to record all those lovely voice notes. Then she's going to go off and go, so what's your offer? Like, what do you actually sell? And she's going to take the two, marry them together and come up with some ideas for lead magnets and just give you a list of things that you could go away and create. She's not clever enough to build them fully. She can certainly make a start. But then if you need to go away and kind of go, right, I'm going to write, design that in a Canva doc or record a video, she will give you ideas. And these aren't just generic, create a checklist on a PDF. If she's like, you need to record a 3-part mini series, this is going to be great for you. She'll give you those ideas. So she's one. And then Mimi is sort of her big sister. She's the email copywriter. So she's the one who they both the feedback I get blows me away with both of them because they've really fixed that problem that people were having. And I think they've really made people kind of realize that, like we've said all through this, that AI is not evil. It doesn't just have to sound generic. It can really take your voice and amplify it. So she is built on all of the copywriting frameworks I use. So if somebody says last month, November is Black Friday, so I had a number of clients who were like, right, she'll write you a sales campaign. You just need to feed her with what it is you're running, like what the offer is. She'll go away, write those emails for you. She'll schedule them all so you know what day you're sending them. If you're going to send, a couple on one day, if you're going to send some to warmer leads who've clicked a sales page link, she can write extra emails, and that's what she does. She goes away and takes the stress that you have around going, oh God, I just don't know what to put out there. If you write a newsletter or you want to write a newsletter, you sit down with her once a week, once a fortnight and literally download. This is what I've been up to the past week, things that have happened, clients that I've had calls with, she's going to ask you, so what you posted on social this week. Okay, so how did the last meeting, stuff you have got in your head that you wouldn't think to actually bring out and share. And she's going to write that in a storytelling framework. So you're like, now I've got a great newsletter I can go out that's going to resonate with my audience. So, that's how people use her. And Opal is kind of like the third sister. She is there to write opt-in pages because generally when people have got a lead magnet, they're like, okay, great, got a brilliant idea. I've got the emails. It's like, how do I get people to actually download the thing? So you want them up to that landing page. You just want enough copy because either I see people who don't write anything or they write too much and people are bounced. Her job, keep people on the page, get them going. I need this. I need to download this today, now. Okay, take your details. So the three work together like as a dream team if you're thinking through lead gen, email campaigns. And they're just a joy. Like the comments I get are just people having fun using them. And I think that's always been the motive. There's lots buzzing around in my head for next year, like new ones I can build to join the kind of fold. But that's been the big thing. They're like, okay, great. Like, it has taken like a load of work off my plate, but actually it's made it enjoyable. Like the stuff was in there. I just didn't know how to get it out. And that's that speeding up the productivity, like elevating the creativity.
But if we're going to be doing things like automating more contracts or how a client drops into someone's world, whatever world they're in, to kind of get through that automated process to get onto a discovery call, what are the key pieces of software that you like that you find really easy to use or pass over to your clients to automate entry-level parts of their business?
You know my favourite system. Kartra is my system. Most people end up on Kartra, especially working with me, because they use things like Calendly to get people booked in. They use MailerLite for their email marketing. They've got a website already, but they've got places, landing pages on other platforms or MailerLite. They're paying out for all these little places, But when it comes to making them talk to each other, they're a bit stuck. You can use things like Zapier or Zapier, however people pronounce it, to let the systems talk to each other. But Kartra, for me, is an all-in system that it's got everything you need to run a business, back end, and it all talks to each other. So you can collect your payments, you can have recurring payments, you can get calendar bookings, you can do anything you need. You can build a website, but you don't have to have a website. You can have individual pages that we can then bring together and build a website with. Email marketing, everything that you need. I'd highly suggest Kartra. And they've got a new entry-level payment, so you don't have to start on the big one. You can start at the starter payment and get what you need to get started and upgrade when you need. But yeah, I've used Kartra for around 6 years now. And
would
it's
you
not, when
say,
you first start, it's not the easiest, but once you get going with it, and I normally send my clients how-to videos all the time and be like, this is what you need in your business. I'll take care of these things. Some of my clients have never stepped foot in Kartra, and I do the whole thing. They don't want to do it. I have 2 different clients. One's that they have no idea what they need and they never want to learn. Or the other ones that know exactly what they need. They've used systems in the past. They're ready to upgrade their systems to something like Kartra. They know what they need, and I go and do it, but then they start dipping toes in. Like, I'll try this, I'll try that. And then some will totally take over, and they know exactly what it is.
I love that. So we're going to put Kartra on the New Year's list going into January for anyone that wants to explore kind of that world of automation and how to automate their businesses.
So I would say the first thing is, when it comes to that signature offer, you need to think about the offer first. So for anybody thinking, okay, I've got lots of millions of different offers, if you can craft what that one premium signature offer is and how it supports, I like to call it a 10K problem. So for your premium client, what is the problem they would pay £10,000 for? And if they didn't have £10,000, they would find it. So what is that problem? How does your offer solve that problem? That is your signature offer. And in there needs to be your method, how you do things. So you need to figure out what that offer is first. And then you need to figure out what the positioning of that is. I like to call it like a point of difference positioning. Now, next year, people aren't just buying into, group programs, one-to-one calls, masterminds, or even interior design services. They're not just buying into an interior design service. They're buying into why you do what you do in the way that you do it. So if I think about interior designers, there are, many in the world, but they're not all exactly the same, right? Like with your clients, I'm sure that they're all slightly different. They've got their different styles or their own different clients, and that is why their clients will choose them. So with your premium signature offer, it needs to be very clear. Why would somebody choose yours over somebody else's that is quite similar? So you can get clear on this by thinking, who is this for? And how do I serve that person in my own way? Like, what is my point of view? What is my point of difference? What makes this sales program different to somebody else's sales program? And if I take that example, sometimes it might be the how. So I support my clients to make more money and make more sales. There will be so many different other offers out there that do the same. But my point of view is that you do it with a premium signature offer, premium positioning, and you do it with premium messaging. And that's what's inside. So if somebody wants to do that, somebody wants to have 2 to 5 hours of calls a week and generate high profits, you can come to me, because that's how we do it. That is my point of difference in my masterminds and groups. And the same with an interior designer. Like, what is that interior designer with her high ticket package? What makes hers different to somebody else's? What is that point of difference? Because where there is so much noise, you need to cut through that noise and stand out. So what is that edge? What is that point of difference that you can put onto that offer that makes it the only choice for your clients? Sometimes I would maybe start with, if it's not, I'm thinking that sometimes like an interior design program could be slightly different to, say, like a coaching program. And it might be starting off with thinking, say with my clients, they want interior design, they want me to do up their house, but what do they actually want? Because they don't actually want somebody to come in and choose colours. That's not the only reason, because they could do that. They want it for a specific reason. Are they wanting it not just because of time, but what are they trying to create in their home? What vibe are they trying to create? Like, what feeling are they trying to create? And is there a theme with all of your clients that it's the same type of design or the same reason why? They might all look different, but there's the same reason why they want an interior designer. So I'd always think with my premium clients, what are they saying that they want? I want an interior designer, but what are they really saying that they want? I want to create a home that feels like this, or I want to create a home that has these elements and makes me look like this and, look like this on the outside. So what is that real reason why? Because premium buyers don't just buy into an offer, they're buying into the why. They buy in because they've got deep desires, and you answer that with your offer.